Okay, we're recording now. So, we have talked about doing a podcast for well over a year now. And we get all these ideas and we get stuck at like the editing and the like organizing and all of the work that goes into it. But it keeps coming up. So then we were like, what if we just do like an uncut Zoom meeting of the three of us talking about positive reinforcement horse training and whatever topics come up? Warning, there will be Star Trek mentions for sure.
Oh God.
Um, and we started jokingly calling it the R plus brain dump podcast. And I think that might stick just to set the bar low of this isn't really a structured thing. It's just a conversation that we feel like other people could benefit from maybe and bring up some ideas and talk about some things. So today is our test run. Not even sure if we're going to post this or not. So we're just kind of getting the lay of the land. And I figure we would start with some introductions of who we are, our background when it comes to horse training, and how we met, basically. Jessica, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Put me on the spot. So I have been all over the map with horse training and horse care. But my foundation has always just been rescue work. So as a kid, I started with regular riding lessons, English, hunt seat, dressage, whatnot. But I always kept going back to volunteering at a local horse rescue. And that was kind of my home base, and I loved that. But I built some pretty heavy biases against competitive horse riding because of what I watched there. What I grew up with there was so many really spectacular show horses that were dumped and treated like garbage later in their life when they weren't able to ride or compete at high levels anymore. And so it kind of created this heavy bias for me. Um, but I continued to learn different disciplines and I just never competed. I would kind of ride a discipline until my instructor was like, okay, you really should start competing now. And then I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to try Western now. I'm going to
Mhm.
try. And then I'd switch and do something different. So I've ridden a lot of different styles. And then when I went to school, I had thought I couldn't decide what I wanted to go to school for because I thought there was no way I could work with animals in an ethical way and still earn money. So, so I gave up the animal path completely and I went to school for art, which was a mistake. And while in school, I immediately found horses again, and I got a job driving carriage horses in the city. And while I loved being with horses, even though I was living in the deep city, I saw the dark underbelly of that community too. And I think every industry in the horse world has their good people and their bad people, and their good ways of doing things and their not so good ways of doing things. And after a while of working in the city, I wanted to buy the horse that I drove. And then of course, I left school and I started my own rescue, and my rescue became a place for retired workhorses to come and be retired and be spoiled rotten, and ultimately a humane end of life. So I did hospice care for draft horses for about 10 years now, and that's burnt my heart out. I'm kind of done with hospice care. I need a break. So, um, that's what introduced me to Mackenzie. I wanted to do something that was a little more light and fun and enjoyable. So I went and I played with her Mustangs. And that's been awesome. So
Yeah,
that's me.
awesome. Tatiana?
All right. I'm Tatiana. I'm the assistant trainer at Wild Ride. And just a little minor thing, if you see me looking down like weirdly throughout the podcast, I'm crocheting. I need to be fidgeting constantly or my brain explodes.
Beautiful.
It, I have a lot less sort of horse experience than these guys. I start off like I had my obligatory little kid riding lessons as a small child, got a bit more into it in my teens, but never really progressed to much. I love being around the animals, but like there was a lot of stuff with I rode a pretty traditional barn. They were good people, but it was very like kind of standard ways of handling things, make him do X or, smack him if he's bad, et cetera, kind of thing. And that never really felt right to me. And I've also been like on the heavier side all my life. And so like sorry, my brain gets ahead of my mouth and it lags a bit. A moment, please. Uh, so as I learned more, like after I got out of riding, I learned more about like kind of the like sort of ethology and like sort of how horses essentially work. And I got really into conformation stuff. That was a passion of mine, like just sort of studying conformational things. And I learned that the horse that I rode, he was known for being kind of like lazy and a jerk. And we always got along really well, but he was a difficult ride. And looking back at pictures, once I knew more, he had terrible conformation. He was a big, beautiful draft warm blood cross, and he looked big and strong, but this guy had an incredibly long weak back, and he should not have been carrying like anyone close to my size. And they always put the fat kids on him because he was a draft cross. His stubbornness and being a jerk wasn't personality; it was pain, and that's why you're like, yeah, he was always sweet on the ground and he tried his best under saddle, but like that sort of was like oh geez, like we are not listening to these animals, like hold on. And that's kind of what like started a sort of long train kind of getting me into Mustangs. um I was looking like, okay, I'd love to ride, or I'd love to be around horses, but riding is all that people really do with them, right? um and that sort of led me to Mustangs, the sort of compact, strong. You can get pretty much whatever build you want if you look hard enough. Um, and but there's we're on the East Coast and there's like no Mustang stuff around here. And then I don't even remember what the Google search was, but I found Wild Ride, Mackenzie's place, and there's learn how to gentle a wild Mustang classes, and I'm like, that can't be right. I have to check that out. That sounds absolutely insane.
Can confirm she
And
called me in the panic the night before, like, is this real?
can't be real. I need to
Just
go check
like
this out right now.
Mm.
But yeah, so very much is real, and my God, the ethics actually aligning with like what I felt was right, such as not beating animals and just little things like that. Um, and I'd say the rest is history, but 6 months later, I adopted my own horse, sight unseen from the Bureau of Land Management. He's
like
been
you.
one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Um, and yeah, now I have a job and like I found my passion in life, and it's been genuinely life changing. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah, and
Aw.
I don't. Oh, and I met Jessica at Equine Affairs because once I learned about like, oh, positive reinforcement, and like, oh, that's what we do with like all of the other animals. Hold on, this is great. Um, Equine Empowerment, her book, has been my absolute favorite, and it's always the one that I point newbies towards and whatnot. Just it has like, and this I promise is not just biased because she's my friend. It's genuinely just the best book on the subject, and I've read like all of them at this point. And I actually went to Equine Affairs. Oh my God, Jessica Gonzalez is doing a panel. I was all like starstruck. Maybe she'll sign my book, and she did. And then we ended up friends, and I still
Yeah,
don't know what happened, but it's amazing.
Was
it's
that the
because
same
you're
equine affair that we brought Z?
yeah.
Was it? Yeah, I think it. No, I thought it was the one before. No, maybe it
Well,
Oh,
was that
that's
one.
okay.
I don't
I have
know.
no memory. I have
Because that was,
zero. There's.
yeah, that was technically how Jessica and I first met in person was she posted about like, hey, does anyone have an R plus trained horse that is gonna be at
Yeah.
Equine Affair for a demo? And I'm like dying for an opportunity to get our ambassadors out in the public eye, but no skills to organize such an event. And I'm like, I can show up to things.
That's
I can
So
perfect.
bring a pony.
yes, yeah, that was one of my favorite moments in history of just like taking my R plus trained Mustang and walking into a convention center with thousands of people and her being like, yeah, this is fine.
And then doing vet skills. It was
Mm.
crazy. I remember because the first day I had these like intro to positive reinforcement ones, and I had all these horses that had no I they were so stressed. They had no idea. They weren't even taking the treats. And then the second day, I'm like, how am I gonna do a vet prep one when these horses can't even touch a target yet, you
Mhm.
know? And then you show up with Z and she's doing all her vet skills. Like, yeah, I can stand in the middle of 1,000 people and pretend to have a needle. No big deal.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that was great. And then, everything blossomed and we started a group chat and we're constantly talking about just like ideas of like
Mhm.
positive reinforcement, how it applies to horses, how it applies to us, how it applies to life, and like all of the patterns that we notice, and all of the nuance that comes up because it's like one of those fields where you just get deeper and deeper, and it's like more and more insight happens, and like it's a very rewarding thing to explore, especially with like-minded people. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I guess I should introduce myself.
You
I am
should.
Mackenzie Witzel,
Yeah.
founder of Wild Ride Mustang Sanctuary and Training Facility. So we are a hybrid facility, which means that we um, adopt and train Mustangs for the public, as well as providing sanctuary for the Mustangs who opt out of domestic life. And so we kind of have both ends covered. And I teach positive reinforcement Mustang gentling. Um, but if we really want to talk about like the background of how it
Yeah,
came to
what's your
be,
background?
it
Yeah.
was yeah, because I've taken riding lessons my whole life since I was 4 years old, and it was always like I loved horses so much, and I just didn't fit in, and it was I was afraid of everything, but I just wanted to sit on the horse. Or even not even just sit on the horse, sometimes just groom them. And so like my mom shelled out all this money for this fancy lesson barn so that and I'd be like, I just want to pet Alex today. I don't want to ride. And it like I was the most nervous equestrian you've ever met in your life. And it took me 10 years of riding lessons before I cantered because I was like, it's too scary. And I was riding every
Oh.
single week, like religiously. Um, and so I was afraid of everything. I was the student that, like, if the horse shied to the left a little bit, I would like jump off and be like, no, I can't do it. I'm too scared.
Wow.
And they would be like, "Oh, you gotta whip him to make him move forward," and I'd like very gently tap, and they'd be like, "That was a love tap. That didn't do anything." And I'm like, "Oh well, we're walking."
Yeah.
And it's weird being put in that system and feeling like I know I don't fit into this, but horses though, I love them. And like, and as a side note, I'm on all sorts of like riding instructor groups, and they always talk about students like me of like, why does this person even take riding lessons if they're too afraid to move forward, if they don't progress, like all of this stuff. And every time I'm like, thank God people just took my parents' money and let me play with ponies because I wouldn't be here if people were like, "Oh, Mackenzie is an anxious mess and does not belong around horses, and I can't take your money anymore because she can't compete or do any of that stuff." Um, in fact, I dream of one day going to talk to my riding instructor from when I was a kid, and I'll probably run into Dion at some point and be like, "Guess what? I train wild Mustangs now."
You're
Just
right.
like just to
Hell
see
yeah.
the look on her face, be like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. Well,
No.
yeah, I do. I hop on with no tack whatsoever, start on the rear back, like I would love to capture that conversation because
That's amazing.
yeah,
Show her the blue footage.
and it's so true about like in life finding the things that you're passionate about and you just like keep investigating even though like this isn't quite right. I'm looking for something. And then when I had my first horse that I got when I was in college, had her for almost 20 years now, domestic horse. And my parents were happy to pay for riding lessons, but they were like, you can't get a horse. It's too much responsibility. Just keep going once a week. They let me join my college riding team, so I rode for Mount Holyoke College on their hunt seat equitation team.
Ooh.
And so that was like the most riding I was able to do was 3 lessons a week and some shows with Mount Holyoke. And that really built up my confidence to be like, no, I'm ready for a horse.
Hmm.
And my parents were like, nope, you can't. And I was in college and I had a job, so I went to go buy a horse because I was an adult and why not?
Yeah.
And I actually put down a deposit on a horse. My mom found out called the lady and forced her to give me my deposit back and was like, "Don't sell a horse to my daughter, please."
Oh my God.
God.
And I was like, "Really?" After
Oh,
all this, so finally I saw on a message board in our college forum of like 14-3 Black Beauty seeks confident rider, and I was like, 20 years of riding and I'm finally confident.
let's pretend.
Yeah, exactly. And I responded to the ad and they were like, "Yeah, come ride her." And so I started going out and working with Angel and riding her and all of that newfound confidence, woo, right out the window. Because she had a bolting problem, she didn't steer, she was terrified of everything. We went for one trail ride. I feared for my life the entire time. But same thing of like, but a horse.
Yeah,
Um,
but she's mine.
yeah.
And
And
you
she
can groom her
wasn't yet. I
whenever
was
you
just
want.
going to ride her and hanging out with her owners, Pam and Suzanne, who were great, and they were a wonderful influence on me. And eventually, at one point, they were like, "Listen, you need to take Angel because she doesn't get along with our herd. We will pay you to take her. Please take
Oh
her."
my gosh.
And I was like, "Ha, take that, universe. I got a
Yeah.
horse."
If
Um,
only you'd known how easy they come after.
I know, I know.
How am
Now
I
I can't
ever going to
stop
get a
people
horse?
from
And then people
giving me
start giving them to
horses.
you.
I remember when I was searching for my first horse, I remember how many horses I went through, how many times. I remember once I found the dream horse. She was this beautiful Clydesdale cross, and the owner came to our barn, the rescue that I was working at, that I was going to board her at, and said it wasn't nice enough and she wouldn't sell me the horse. And
Oh.
I was devastated. I was so destroyed because I couldn't get that horse. Like, if I had known now that, like, 10 years later, I'd have a herd full of Clydesdales and people would be begging me to take their horses. I have a
Mm,
wait list. I have a wait list of horses that want to come here. I didn't have to work hard to get my first horse.
mm,
There are hundreds. There are so many that
yeah,
need it. But I think, you brought up a good point, how that first horse, or sometimes it's our first horse, or sometimes it's a particular really difficult horse,
mm,
that just forces us to look outside the box and do things a little differently.
yeah.
Um, for me, it was my first horse, but I had been training natural horsemanship. I was like a competent rider. I was working at a show jumping barn as a manager. I wasn't competitive, but I was a very skilled rider trainer in natural horsemanship. Like that was my niche. And I got my first horse and everything I knew just went out the window. Like she's like, doesn't apply to me.
Hmm.
Go ahead, put pressure on me. I'm 2,000 pounds, you
Hmm.
know? And like it just, I had to, and I knew I kind of reached this point with her where I had to make the decision. I had to decide, am I going to become so harsh that I don't forgive myself? And it'll be effective. It'll work. I can tie her to a tree and let her fight it out. I could lay her down and force her to shut down, or I need to find another way because being gentle and being in the middle wasn't working for her. Being this kind of like soft, gentle, negative reinforcement with some like natural horsemanship communication stuff. It worked for almost every domestic, well-handled horse I'd worked with my whole life. All these paint horses that were raised in someone's arms. But this draft horse who was terrified of people and terrified of life and who knew she was giant, gentle wasn't going to work with her. So I either had to go way beyond my ethics of harshness, or I had to find something different.
Mm.
And I'm grateful I found something different. Shout out to Shauna Carish.
Oh
She's the one
yeah.
I it was 15 years ago. I got my first horse. I was in over my head. I was trying and I posted on a horse forum, and Shauna Carish spent 3 weeks every day texting me privately, answering every
Oh.
question. I was such a skeptic when she said, get food. I was like, no, you don't understand. I can have a whole bucket of grain and she won't do what I want for a
Mm.
whole bucket of grain.
Right.
And Shauna told me, oh, no, you don't understand. It's classical conditioning.
Mhm.
And it worked. It was 2 weeks where this horse went from untouchable, untrainable, unhandleable, dangerously hurting people to walking at liberty in the field with me. So, I mean, it worked,
Yeah.
but it was Shauna who gave me that.
Well, Shauna is like right as you left off there is where Shauna enters my story.
That's so funny.
And I didn't even realize it at the time. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it until like last year actually.
Oh, wow.
Was that so I had this wild, unrideable, bolting horse, and Pam and Suzanne were trying to help me. And this was at a time where I was like, I am not a cowboy. I do not train horses. I buy or ride horses that other people train because I don't want to get my hands dirty. I'm just gonna like ride the horse. And so I never even like picked up a book on horse training. I was like, you put pressure on the lead, they walk forward. Like I was like,
Push the button.
yeah, you press the button and the horse
Someone
does it
did
because
this
someone
for
else already
me.
trained it.
Yeah.
And I never once was like, wow, I can't ride this horse. Maybe I should learn how to train a horse. Thought never crossed my mind, never in a million years. But I think it was Pam who said to me, because she noticed like I was sad because I had gotten to the point where I was too afraid to even try riding Angel. I would just come and kind of groom her, like maybe sit on her, and then like, and she was like, "Hey, I went to Equine Affair and I saw this demo. It's called clicker training, and you use food and you can teach them tricks. And so maybe that's something that you guys can do together if you're not feeling safe enough to ride." And I was like, okay. So I'm getting this information like third party from what Pam heard, from what Shauna said, from Equine Affair, and what I ended up with, like no knowledge, and Facebook barely existed, and the internet, I don't know, was a horse that was extremely good at whipping her head away from me to get a cookie and then whipping it back and snatching it out of my hand. And I was like, this is terrible. Like how, okay, I can't even teach her a trick this way because it's like I'm afraid I'm gonna lose a finger. And I but I'm kind of like that ride or die mentality. I'm extremely loyal, and I'm like, well, this is my horse, so I literally just put her out to pasture for like 10 years because I couldn't ride her. Actually, you know what? No, I worked with two different trainers. One of them tried really hard and was like, listen, this is not going to be worth the money that you're going to spend
Wow.
training her. And the other one said that she should be sent to be dog food. And and then I was like, oh well, I'll do what Pam and Suzanne did and see if I can find a kid that has talent that can ride this horse. And I found a couple over the years, but for the most part, I was just like, well, she's a pet now. That's okay. That's totally fine. And she just kind of sat in my backyard with her buddy and got fed every day, and that was our relationship. And then her buddy ended up having to leave because he just was not doing well with the lifestyle. He was the fancy like dressage pony, and like really wanted a barn and blanket changes and like all of the fancy things that I did. I had a run-in shed and they were out all day. And so I'm like, well, okay, what? So I ended up donating him to a nonprofit therapeutic riding program where he's still there and doing
Oh,
great. They love him.
Oh.
But he taught me like, okay, I need a horse that can get along in a bare bones environment. And so like Mustang. Um, and I'm like,
yep.
but again,
I'm too nervous to ride my horse, so I'll go get a Mustang.
it wasn't supposed to be for a riding horse. It was just supposed to be for a companion horse.
Hey,
And
I'm
she was
on
supposed to be
board.
already
I'm
trained.
equal
Yes,
crazy,
already
so
trained. Or I could send her to a trainer to start her on the saddle because that's what you do. Other people train horses and then you bring them home and you just ride them.
yeah.
That was my plan. So yeah, I got a Mustang and
Which
she
one was that?
Doji.
Soji. Oh,
Yeah.
Soji.
Because that was my whole dream was it was like South Steens buckskin pinto and
Oh.
looking everywhere trying to find the right one and like her trainer was in Oregon. She was there for 2 or 3 years. She sent me like 20 videos of this horse haltering, leading, tacking up, picking up her feet, saddling, girth, standing tied, lunging. She was training her to pull a cart. I'm like, this horse is trained. Perfect.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. 8 days of trailer ride across the country. A wild horse stepped off that trailer, and all of a sudden, I could not do the most basic things that I needed to do, which was get her vet care and medical care and handle her at all. Um, and at this point, I understood how the internet worked, and actually, her previous trainer was the one who recommended taking the course with Mustang Maddie on positive reinforcement. Because
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
her previous trainer was like she was like a tough lady. I could tell that Soji was probably the one that pushed her to change everything about her horsemanship. Because
Yeah.
she's like, I tried for years and just let her be a pasture pet. And then someone said, try positive reinforcement. And it was the only thing that worked and got some engagement. So
Wow.
I inherited someone else's transformational horse.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
Soji, you're a
yeah, I took
queen.
that course. It was a really great, like intensive 4 month with feedback and I spent 6 months just training Soji to wear a halter because like that's what they tell you is like you can't care for a horse unless they can wear a halter. Right.
No, that's when
So
you're done training. You throw a halter on top.
exactly. Yeah, I've
Legitimately.
learned now that like everything can be done in whatever order your horse needs. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I learned everything I could, and I spent 6 months getting a halter on her, and immediately was like, okay, great, now I can tie her.
Yeah. No.
And she's luckily Soji's much smarter than me. And she saw me walking up to the tie ring and was like, and ripped the lead rope out of my hands and gone, gone.
God,
So
this human is so stubborn. She just doesn't understand.
yeah. I was like,
I'm
oh,
just gonna
okay.
opt out. You buy Penn Steel with your own stuff. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's just not gonna do that. And I think that's a mistake a lot of beginner positive reinforcement people make is like, I met the one criteria that I wanted to meet, and now I can just proceed as normal, and not really realizing that there are a lot of layers to it, and like to make sure that the horse is comfortable, work with the horse you have today. And so, yeah, so she taught me a lot, but, a pattern emerged. And I was like, well, so right off Soji, just let her, if I can care for her, let her live in a field, gonna make an entire sanctuary just for Soji so that I don't have to train her because I'm not a horse trainer.
He
And here
made
we
you
are.
one.
And now we have Soji's Sanctuary on 150 acres in eastern Connecticut. And we do
What a
have
dream.
the stuff we need to take care of everyone, including Soji, like a chute and a sweep tub and the heavy duty fencing, like we can and dart gun. We've got all of the tools, but
And two incredible positive trainers.
well,
So
well,
that
yes,
helps.
but at the beginning, a lot of people like look at this and they look at my journey because like that was 5.5 years ago. That was not a long time
Yeah.
ago.
That's
Yeah,
Um,
that is fast.
yeah.
Jesus.
And they're like, wow, you were like, I can't train this horse. Let me teach other people how to train horses. But that's not how it started. It started as one, the sanctuary is going to be home for Soji and horses like Soji that need a sanctuary. That was it. The next iteration was, well, I need the facilities anyway, so now I can just be a platform for other people to train their Mustangs here and give them a boarding facility.
Hmm.
That was phase two. Phase three was, wow, people need some coaching and assistance sometimes. Let me see if I can step in and help. And all the while like learning how to actually train Soji. Now that the pressure was off, and that's a huge thing we talk about all the time is, okay, now I have a shoot in a sanctuary. There's no pressure for me to go anywhere with Soji's training. Now what do we accomplish? And it's like that oftentimes really helps us as humans, definitely helps the horses know like it's a
Absolutely.
psychological safe space to try because failure doesn't look the same when you aren't depending on the success of that for an outcome like vet care. Oh,
Absolutely.
So yeah,
It's not
so
life or death anymore.
yes, it's not life or death anymore. I can take care
Now
of
you
my
can
horse.
actually progress.
Yeah.
I can teach her to go fetch or do something stupid. You
Yep.
know,
And
like
last summer we had three little kids all grooming her at the same time.
yeah.
So at Liberty,
Yeah.
like that is so, I mean, and those were the kids that don't know anything. So that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah.
And
She's so normal
Angel,
now.
yeah. And
Mm.
Angel, she's like the beginner lesson pony. She's like the go-to at Wild Ride at this point. Like, oh, the dangerous bolter. Yeah, no, she's fine now. We just plunked the little kids on her and it's perfect.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
Oh.
like the full circle follow through is that like after 10 to 15 years of writing off Angel, I was like, "Oh, she'll never be safe. Feed her some cookies."
Yeah.
And like I all this time by the time I actually brought Angel out for her first clicker training session because June little June my student was like, "Hey, can we work with Angel?" I'm like, "No, she's a crazy monster around food." And of course, intellectually I know better, but
Yeah.
that thought pattern was trapped in my brain
Yep. Yep.
of, "Oh, you don't train Angel with food."
Yeah.
And I was like,
Well, you've had her for 15 years, and that was the established.
that was the
Yeah.
established canon of Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, we can work with her, but I'm gonna feed her because I don't want you to lose a finger. So I think I gave June the clicker and I did the treat bag and I did exactly what any good positive reinforcement trainer knows how to do and take away the scarcity mindset around food by feeding a lot. And it was literally 20 minutes. We walked down to the dome. The amount of time it takes, which is a half mile, by the time we reached the dome, she was like totally cool about food, totally relaxed around food,
Oh.
totally waiting for the click, and doing great. And then I gave the treat back to June, and she was fed her the way back, and she was totally fine. And I was like, I missed out on like 10 years of riding my horse because of a 20-minute hump that I didn't have the skill set to get over. So that was a huge eye opener for me of like, and I think, right, guys, we've noticed this in me that sometimes I have a resilience problem where I'm like, oh, this isn't working. I give up.
You're usually, we'll switch to something else. And it's like, no, no, that would have worked. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
circle back
Just
around.
keep with it. Just
Yep.
consistency. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So
That's
yeah, full circle with Angel, and now she's like they ride her tackless. Like I can't imagine. Do you know how many bits I went through and curb chains
oh
and
my God.
leverage and all of the things because I wasn't a horse trainer. The only thing I had at my disposal was different equipment and didn't know how it worked. And I
Hey, the salesperson told me it would fix my horse.
yes, yeah, and you know like oh it like oh she stops now that there's a curb chain.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
okay.
or like she responds to pressure now that there's a curb chain, but she's still running full force sideways with her head turned towards me into a wall. Yeah. So
Yeah. Now we're flipping over each other.
yeah.
Ah,
And it was like, God, if only I knew that the secret to me feeling safe was making the horse feel safe. Like we just both want to feel safe.
yeah,
And you know, like getting compliance with painful bits is not how you make a horse feel safe.
I think people don't realize that, like, if their mind is out of their own control because they're so upset about something, they're not I don't know if many people, other than trauma survivors, which I think we all are,
yep,
really understand what it is to be completely out of control of your own body. You are
Mm.
reacting from your inside, from your whole core. You're reacting without really, you might look back and be like, that's a different that's not me, because
Mm.
it doesn't feel like you. That's not how you would reasonably handle the situation or reasonably respond. But you're reacting out of control of yourself. And that's the state that horses are in when they're, bolting or complete meltdown, panicking or,
yep,
shutting down. And then you think that you can just control the horse with a strong enough tool in that scenario, but I can't even control me in that scenario. The horse
yeah,
can't control themselves in that
Mm.
scenario. So, what we all like if you think that just adding more control is going to fix the problem. You're just going in the wrong direction. You really need the horse to de-escalate back to that thinking part of their mind.
Yeah, and that's like my favorite all-time me quote that I say all the time is the more desperately you grasp for control, the less control you ultimately have. I have never felt safer than on a wild horse with zero tack who's never been, I feel safer on Blue, who is
Yeah.
our most reactive horse. Because she has the tools to say, and I have such a good clip from this from last week that I didn't post. I did a riding session with Blue, and she gave me the get off my back signal super calmly, like 3 times. And I was like, "You're fine." And so I'm like, okay, I'll just stand here and like pet your butt and just hang out and like and just like that, she had a huge spook because a tarp went flying. And I was like, she knew. She knew how to keep me safe. Like
Yeah,
that
she knew
wasn't
she
even
was at the edge of
necessarily,
her threshold. Yeah.
Hmm.
and that wasn't about like her, she could have, if I was on her back or off her back, she could have spooked and bolted just the same. Like the result would have been the same for her. That was about, like, I really think it was like, hey, you probably don't want to do this right now. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like,
That's so huge.
yeah, it's like with the horse training and everything, and like just the sort of different mindset and stuff with the R plus. It's like I'm always like, why are you fighting the horse? Why isn't the horse on your side? Like
Right.
we can make it so you and the horse are both working towards the same goal. And like they do, like when you have that relationship and like the, kind training and whatnot, they absolutely do look out for you. Like Sandwich, my first horse, like he's like kept me out of like sketchy situations. Like if we're like, walking down like a trail or something, he'll like sometimes nudge me out of the way of like big holes and stuff that are like different terrain and things that I'm not aware of that he knows because he knows the area. There was a time that we were hiking towards the bear den that I did not know was there. He actually he was getting more and more stressed as we were hiking. This was totally at liberty. Like he could go back home whenever he wanted. We were just hiking, and he was like getting more and more like anxious. And I'm like, dude, no, it's okay. We're just going for a nice hike. It's fine. And like, and I'm like feeding him. We're just kind of. I'm like, it's a beautiful day. We're just gonna go for a walk. And he's like, the tension just keeps rising, and I'm like, I can't identify what's going on. Like, dude, it's gonna be okay. We're just going for a walk. And he eventually gets in front of me, cuts me off, and just stops. And I'm like, no, dude, it's fine. Like my dumbass, like your horse has been yelling at you for a half hour. Like maybe listen. And I go around him, he cuts me off again and gives me the tiniest, he just pops me in the shin with the most gentle cow kick. I don't think I even had a bruise. And I was like, all right, session's over. We're done. I don't know what's going on with you. That was unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. We go back home and he visibly relaxes and then he starts getting anxious and like trying to like he has a like please cue me for the next behavior thing. And so he's like, can we why are you ignoring me? Are we not still training? And I'm like, dude, you kicked me. I don't know why, but that was not okay. It also didn't hurt. I'm very confused, but we're going home. And we go home, and yeah, turns out that's where the freaking bear lives. So he's
Oh.
like, my idiot human is gonna get us both killed. And for I think it was 45 minutes total.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh.
straight like I am walking us both straight to certain doom as far as he knows.
Yeah.
And he stuck with me the whole way. Like, we gotta
Yeah.
go back,
No halter, no
mom. We gotta
lead
go back.
rope, no
We're staying.
self-preservation. Like you're on
Zero
your
lead
own,
rope.
lady. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, you can just leave if you want. Like, if you don't want to hike, you can go back home. It's fine. He stuck with me and made me turn around in
He's
the
like,
only
you
way that
dummy.
he knew how at that point, because I wasn't listening to anything else. And he
Oh.
did it so gently that I didn't get injured. But yeah, like he tried to protect me from a freaking bear, and he could have left at any point.
Oh.
Like, it's just,
Mm.
I don't know, but that's my one. Like, my horse kicked me and I appreciated it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and it's so funny because like that traditional mindset is stuck in our heads still. Like even though you didn't have a lot of that in your life, but you still had
It's
enough
still
of
in
it to
there.
be like, the horse is not behaving correctly, and I can't let him get away with that. We have to get back to
We're
doing
just gonna
well.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
keep going. I'll feed him, and when he calms
yeah,
down, we'll turn around.
I have
It's
to work through it. But
Yeah.
exactly.
sometimes like because
Listen.
there's training and there's communication. And
Mhm.
we have to know, when is the horse behaving because he's communicating, not behaving because he's trying to get away with something.
Mm.
Yep.
Because,
And the answer is they're almost always trying to communicate something. Even if
yeah,
it is a getting away with it thing, that's communication.
That's
All
yeah,
communicating
behavior
that
is
they're not
communication.
comfortable.
yeah,
Right.
there's some reason on the other side of it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Mm.
I feel
So
like I was
yeah.
going somewhere else with that tangent and I don't remember. My apologies.
Yeah, that's all right. That I mean that's the thing is like trying to get people to flip the dynamic on their head. Like it's so hard because it's so diametrically opposed to everything that they've been taught their entire life
Yeah.
of like the first instinct is like, oh, the horse is crowding me, I have to withhold the food.
Hmm.
It's so natural. Oh, I can't reward this behavior. And like like I was with Angel and like teaching the wrong thing and like, oh, this isn't working and getting people to flip that scarcity mindset themselves of
Yeah.
there's bottomless food and getting them to realize and like our horses contra freeload, which means they'll just like ignore a bucket of free food on the ground that's the same food we have in our treat bag
Hmm.
because they're enjoying the game. It's not about the food and they know that there's unlimited food.
And we
um
just use like hay pellets. It's not particularly
Yeah.
interesting food.
yeah,
That's what I was gonna say is like, this is hay pellets. We can afford a bag of hay pellets. Like, it's not gold. I think we're not feeding, like, maybe with like tiger training, you have
mm,
to be a little more careful about the
Fair.
cost of the food reward,
yeah,
but hay pellets we can afford.
hmm,
Yeah, and that's something I see every new crossover trainer from traditional or negative reinforcement over to positive. The thing they have the hardest time with is being generous.
hmm,
There's never a problem with standing there and feeding your horse too much. If you are standing there and feeding your horse and the horse continues to be good, you're just continuing to reinforce good behavior.
yeah,
Yep.
So it's never wrong to just keep feeding. Like, you can't feed too much. You can't.
yeah.
So, like,
Large amounts, low value. Not one of
yeah.
these single German horse muffin type things.
Oh. Oh. I remember my first student who she contacted me because she had actually tried clicker training with her horse and was told by a professional clicker trainer that this horse is the exception. He cannot be clicker trained because his food resource problems. And like, even the professional clicker trainer said, "Yeah, but not this horse." And my student was still kind of stuck in like, well, everything I was doing wasn't working. The clicker training was starting to work, but he just was way over aroused, way stressed, way. And I was like, all right, protected contact and huge handfuls.
Hmm.
And she literally, the first week I worked with her and her horse, we were just, can you keep your head in your own space while I continuously feed you?
Yeah,
And just like continuous. And it was just, and the student was like, this is kind of gratuitous. Like, is my horse gonna explode? And but after a week, and we added other things to the environment and enrichment and things like that. But like after a week, we were able to start adding criteria. We were able to start saying, now can you like touch a target? And then we can go back to continuous. Can you like think for a second? Because she was so afraid of the food causing stress that she was being really stingy with the food,
yeah,
which it was causing the stress.
yeah,
Yep.
So she just had to flip it around. It's just, I think it's hard for people to rationalize that, but
yeah.
sometimes you just have to take that pressure off the food.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the moment you withhold the food, you confirm that they were right to be worried about food.
Hmm.
Yep.
It just like builds that up. So like to be able to fully let go of that mentality, and my favorite saying about this, I think it was Mary Miller Jordan who said you have to like step into an alternate universe where there's no sense of scarcity and there are no wrong answers. And that's what positive reinforcement training is.
Oh, I like that. I like that one. I have an article that I say, do the opposite of everything you've ever known. That's positive reinforcement.
Yep.
It's like that. It does feel like doing the opposite. Like your horse did something bad, your first instinct is like, I can't let them get away with that. I can't let them think that's okay. Well, even at worst, just walking away. Honestly, I think for our horses, for our positively trained horses,
Mm.
walking away is probably the worst thing we can do to them.
Oh
Hitting
God, yeah.
them, they can recover from getting a smack. They
Yeah.
can't recover from you walking away. That is like a tragedy in their mind, you
Right.
know?
Yeah,
So,
negative punishment is like the most effective thing
Mhm.
that we like try to be careful not to accidentally do it. And
yes.
it's like a very powerful motivator to the horse to oh no.
Yeah. And it's not something I would use as a tool by choice.
Right.
But in those emergency situations and in those like, oh, I jumped in way over my head and I have to I have to get safe.
Yeah.
Like those it works so much more substantially. I've known so many horses where people thought they were punishing the horse
Hmm.
by smacking or whacking or screaming at and throwing things at.
Yep.
And really, the horse is like, this is enrichment because I've been locked in a box for 24 hours and
Yes.
any interaction is good for me.
Or like
So,
Things are
playing bitey
happening. They
face.
suck, but it's
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they think it's like stallion sparring bitey face game and and it's like if the behavior continues, it's being reinforced.
Hmm.
Even if you think you're punishing it, if the behavior keeps going, you're not punishing it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
The
but I think
subject
like
decides what's reinforcing and punishing.
yeah.
That's such a
Every
big
time.
thing.
But I think for humans, the biggest thing is like you get in those damage control situations. But what I think once you're like, there's levels of like R plus trainer mentalities. And once you hit that mentality of understanding the concept of damage control and then being like, okay, but how do I prevent it? And getting that challenge accepted mindset of, okay, this was a thing. I can prevent it. How? And then we're in that problem solving seeking mode, trying to think of like how to set up the environment better to prevent that from ever happening because we either realigned their motivation or just physically put a barrier so that they couldn't do whatever that scary thing is. And once you learn to enjoy those moments of challenge accepted, and
Yeah.
how do I redo this antecedent arrangement to make it more intuitive to the horse? That's like a level of R plus trainer mindset. So
It's funny because I have a new student who is new at positive reinforcement, and for some reason she really likes Zephyr, who is he knows every skill that a horse could possibly know, but he's going to do it at full speed with full enthusiasm. He is like so game. But I knew right now the only place we have to work that isn't covered in ice is our driveway. And I was like, if we walk him outside on a lead rope and he's over aroused, he's going to be spinning circles around her. If she's not, being a great, well-timed clicker trainer, he's going to be over aroused and he's going to be spinning around her and pulling on the lead rope. And then they're going to get into a fight and then he's going to run off and then they're going to have a bad day. So I was like, let's just go out without a lead rope. And, and the student who is only known traditional training is like, what do you mean not have a lead rope? Like, we need a lead rope to walk the horse outside of his pen. And I was like, no, you're going to be at more risk if you have
mhm.
a rope connecting you and the horse. It's
Yeah.
better if he can just go off and be an idiot for a minute and then come back and settle down and be calm. And like, it's okay if he wants to run in circles. It doesn't hurt you for him to be a Looney Tune for 5 minutes. He can, when he's ready to be calm, he can join us and play the game.
Yeah,
But
that's my favorite way to mess with traditional people is literally walk up to the paddock, put the halter on the horse, and throw the lead rope on the ground, open the gate, and let the horse just loose. And they're
yes,
like, "What are you doing?" Um, but like the time we loaded up Moxie, Moxie was one of
Oh
our
my God, that was
horses
great.
last year.
Moxie had never loaded before either.
Never loaded in a trailer, but this is an R plus clean slate Mustang, which means never known traditional training and like never known pressure. And like whatever you throw at her, she's like, yeah, sure, of course. Why wouldn't I jump in this trailer?
Yeah.
And
New thing.
and
What is it?
her adopter was a little bit more well, her adopter and the adopter's friend was very traditional, old school. And she's like, I brought a halter for her, and I'm standing there with a halter and lead rope on our lawn, and their horse trailer is there on the lawn. And I was like, oh great, I'll switch it out. And I drop the lead rope on the ground and take off the halter. And she's like, oh, and she starts like positioning herself so that Moxie couldn't escape. And she's like, why would you do that? And I was like, she's not going anywhere. And I
Do
was
you
like,
think the
hand me the
halter means anything to her? Like it's just there. It's a decoration.
The halter is a neat thing to wear that usually means a session is starting. Yay!
yeah.
Right?
So confession, I put that halter on like really slowly. And just like let her stand there like, why isn't she running away? She's free.
Yeah.
Why would she run away? It's fun
And
over
you can
here.
just like hold the halter out and the horse puts the halter on themselves.
Right.
They
Like,
will fight over the halter in the field sometimes. I've
Yep.
had
yeah.
multiple horses try and jam their head in the same
And,
halter.
yeah, and then she was like,
Yes.
okay, so she's never loaded, so we're here's our plan, this and that, and like if she doesn't load, we'll rearrange the trailer like this, like really good, thoughtful horsemanship of trying to set the horse up for success. So like she's a good trainer, very
Yeah.
good trainer.
Yeah.
Um, and and I was like, sure, I don't think that's going to be a problem, but yeah, of course we can do that if we need to do that. And I start walking Moxie, I think it was a ramp. I start walking her up
Yeah,
the
it
ramp. She's never
was.
seen a ramp in her life. And she stands behind her and starts making that clucking noise and flapping her arms, which if anyone has a horse that has been traditionally trained and then clicker trained and or like some back and forth, like that'll throw your trailer loading off because all of a sudden you're going from doing a no pressure thing to wait, why is there pressure behind me?
Yeah.
And like it gets them suspicious. Moxie had no idea what those noises meant. She was like, "What does that person do?" Oh, okay.
Should I
I
play with
walked right on the trailer, tied her in there. She
it?
stood tied on the trailer. We closed the back, and the lady's like, "Wow, that's a good horse." Love
Crazy,
Moxie. She's doing
right?
great too.
Oh, I'm so glad she's doing well. She was such a cutie.
Yeah.
He apparently
Yeah.
shot up in height too, which I shocked the heck out of me.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's tall
yeah.
now, apparently. I'm like,
I gotta go visit
fantastic.
soon.
I keep pictures.
Hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. We should call it a day. I have to get
Oh, it is
back
fun.
to real life. It's been an hour.
It
I think
has.
we did
Wow,
great.
already.
Yeah, we
I
Yeah,
did.
think
yeah.
that was a fabulous one. We should definitely post this.
Yeah, I
Heck
agree. Do
yeah.
you agree, Tatiana?
Absolutely.
Okay, consent is confirmed.
Woo!
Sounds good.
Consent-based
Same time
training.
next week.
All right, same time next week.
All right.
Awesome.
All
Bye,
You
right.
guys are
guys.
the best.